not sure if.
We are officially, our meeting will come to order. Thank you for the minutes. I move that they be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. For the record, Mr. Lynch has volunteered to become the clerk.
Oh, good.
I move that we accept his volunteering.
Aye, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't think. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing them, by the
Oh,
way,
gosh,
in
no,
the
no
meantime.
problem.
So, we have a public hearing, so that you know, we'll both go through them all. We have the public hearing on the pay plan employees this Wednesday. There is the possibility, JP, that I won't be there because of a funeral in Pennsylvania. So I need to let you know that. I'll call you if I can't come. But that would be the pay plan. We have to do both the ordinance. I'll ask Barbara to do the proper wording for the
Right.
ordinance, and we have to do the cash. So, Chief.
Sir.
Sick leave buyback, comp time buyback, and accrued vacation day buyback, that's all part of the collective bargaining agreement with officers.
It is indeed.
Okay? So if we say no, the union goes out on strike.
We can't strike, Counselor. We're not allowed to.
Really?
Yeah, we
Calvin Coolidge had something to say about that back in 19,
Anyway.
19 or 19 or 20.
Police cannot strike.
That's right. It was a big issue.
Is this commonly expected, Melissa? I mean, that when you hear about a retiree, do you put it in the budget? Well, you didn't, because we have to get it out of free cash, but.
Right, so in the past,
hard to
it's
do with
been, you know, in the budget for some, not in the budget for others, and I think it it depends on a lot of things. It depends on, you know, when we're nickel and diamond, maybe we say, well, we'll deal with that when it happens, because some people say they're gonna retire and then they don't. And then also, some people don't tell you until after the budget is set that they intend to retire.
What, is there a legal time, 2 weeks of notice, no notice? They could say, I'm retiring tomorrow
They
and just
could,
leave?
they can, yeah. The contracts are different, but in the police union, they can retire pretty much whenever they want. Once they hit maximum, they can-
Maximum, you mean?
32 years, 55
Vetted,
years old.
vetted.
80%, right? So, and to Melissa's point, is you don't know, like, I can't prepare my budget now anticipating somebody's gonna retire next year, because I won't know that they are or they're not.
Unless they announce like 2 years ahead of time, which
Right.
is kind of unlikely, and then they tend to change their mind a lot too, right? Like the people who talk about it.
Yeah, especially, I can say for my folks, it's hard, very, very difficult to leave. It's very emotional.
I'm going through it right now, I
Yeah.
know exactly
Yeah.
what they're feeling, honest to God. It's
We
hard.
did a send-off.
I did a year, and I still have trouble.
We did a send-off for Sergeant Sereno the other day, and it was very emotional.
I saw it. I couldn't listen to it. I said, I'm gonna cry, I don't even know the man. So, just one last question, I assume you're out there trying to find a new officer, you pulling
We're swearing 2 in on Thursday.
2?
Yep. So, Don was a sergeant,
Right.
so I'm backfilling the supervisor position and then backfilling the bottom of the patrol force. So we're swearing in Kyle Gerby as a sergeant who's one of my patrolmen now.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah, but
Haley.
we're not adding to the,
New person coming in.
One new person
Haley
on the
got
bottom.
it on the bottom.
Haley,
Yeah.
woman?
Excellent.
She's a she, yeah. Haley.
She's a she.
She's a she, yeah.
He said that.
She's a woman? All right, she's a woman. So yes, Haley's coming in on,
Well, that's good.
she's been working for us since last summer.
The
as a
part-time special, right?
So she went through our field training program, and we interviewed 4 or 5 of those specials, and Haley came out on top.
That's all I have for that.
How many
JP.
specials do we now have? Once she moves up,
We'll be down to 5,
5. And the max that you like to carry is
6. I'm right where I want to be.
5 or 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have officers who only want to work part-time, and then I have officers who work part-time that want full-time jobs. So for me, it's a really good blend.
That's great. But you
Now,
have
does
that
Haley
kind of
have to go to the
flexibility.
academy?
She has to go to the full-time academy.
Just
which is-
like the one.
Yeah, and that's coming in June.
Okay. All right.
So she's done her field training.
Part-time with us, and then the full, she'll
Will
go.
she have full-time field training, or is that already accomplished.
So our field training program is for our specials. And then once they go.
Is it the same as for full-time people?
Yeah, well, so they'll go to the full-time academy, which is 25 weeks of grueling learning and PT and everything that comes with police work. And then when they get out, depending on how much time they were in our field training program before they went, we may do like a short refresher with them. But what we found is by running these kids through the FTO program, by the time they get to the academy, they come out, we don't have to recycle them at all into our field training program because they've already done it. And they know our policies or procedures specific to the department, certainly the city, the community.
They know the streets.
No, yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive street exam. Sometimes I wonder if I would pass it. So.
Bill has some questions.
Yes, sir.
All right. Vacation pay when you do your budgets, right? Isn't that normally budgeted in your regular budget for him? So would his 6 weeks have already been budgeted for the year?
Yeah, please.
So this is when, this is accumulated time, he didn't use it, so we're required by law to pay any unused vacation time. So instead of him being on vacation,
Yep.
he's being paid out his vacation.
Okay.
He could have taken a vacation a week or two.
And he could have
before.
none in his bank right at this moment, but
Right.
most of us carry a little bit.
Right.
So he has whatever he earned this year plus whatever he rolled over from previous years.
Nothing rolled over from previous years.
So he gets 6 weeks vacation pay
Right.
for a calendar
We
year.
can do a payout,
Mhm.
but we're pretty good about making them use their time or encouraging them to use all their time
Sure.
so we don't do, because it's one
It's
thing.
also good for them.
Yeah, of course. But it's one thing that we found over the years that became problematic at the end of the budget year was we have people with vacation days that they want to get paid out for. So it's kind of, they can do it, but it's frowned upon.
I guess my question then, maybe you can help it. Still fairly new to me, so I'm trying to figure it all out. So if he had nothing rolled over, 6 weeks would have been budgeted for this year, right?
So it's the overlap time. So his last day was yesterday, let's
Right.
say. He has 6 week vacation. So it can be done one of two ways. We don't prefer that people take 6 weeks vacation all at once. So he could have just said, I'm not coming into work and paid out 6 weeks, and then we don't hire Haley to them. But that's not good for the.
So
Right, because then you're paying
It's a
benefits and
double-edged
everything
sword,
else.
yeah.
No,
Right.
Yep.
So we just pay them out, and then in order to start a new officer to fill the gap in the rotation. So sometimes in smaller departments
Mhm.
like mine, when I pay out my assistant retired last year, we waited. We waited to hire, so we paid her out her vacation, and then I didn't hire somebody for a month.
To cover for that.
Right, and it just meant that the rest of us in the department had to pitch in, but unlike,
The police department where you.
We can't do
the
that.
shift
Well,
has
right,
to be
exactly.
filled, you're
No,
gonna pay
absolutely.
overtime.
Oh, you're paying overtime, so
to do the
exactly,
shift.
that my department isn't like
Right.
that, but an department in public safety,
Right.
I guess-
you've got to fill the body,
And
one way or the other.
And I guess part of the silver lining is we have budgeted for Sergeant Serino at maximum sergeant's pay
Mhm.
for the year, up until July.
Yep.
And Haley's coming in at step 1 junior patrol officer. So there is going to be some savings there.
Sure, in your budget, but I was just wondering why
Right,
it comes
right.
from free cash as
Right.
opposed to, the police budget, because that's what we're approving,
Right.
to come out of free cash to pay it.
Mhm.
And then the comp time, so that's overtime that's really not paid for in a
Right.
sense, right? That they
Is
just-
that what that is? I was gonna
Yeah,
ask.
so this is accrued comp time over, Don was here for 35 years, so it's a give and take.
So it goes over every year, it continues to.
Yeah,
grow.
that continues to roll, and they use the comp time. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for comp time, I wouldn't be able to operate.
Right. Well,
Just because it would cost me so much more in actual dollars of overtime. Because a lot of times the comp time, more often than not, somebody will take a comp day, and it'll be a shift that we can actually leave open, so it doesn't cost us any money or any overtime.
So comp time is accumulated when an officer's on a beat, and he might spend an extra half hour on the beat. and
Or he
that's-
puts in for an 8-hour overtime shift and just takes the comp time and not the dollar overtime.
Oh, so he could get time and a half, or he can get the comp time.
They have the
Right.
ability to choose.
They can choose either.
Right,
Oh,
and
okay.
I can regulate, what I can regulate is, if there's staffing issues, I can tell them I can deny their comp time. Like if they put in for a comp day, I can deny it depending on staffing issues. But it rarely happens. And the federal law is 480 hours of comp time that you can keep on the books. The
Max,
city-
you mean.
Right, the city negotiated years ago in Easthampton, the city negotiated with the police union down to 200 hours is the max they can carry.
So we
For
reach
this area.
200, when they
For
reach
this area.
200, they just don't get comp time anymore.
Right.
Unless they start taking.
They start taking their time off. But the reason that when they negotiate, the city negotiated, or the town at the time negotiated from 480 to 200 is this exact reason.
But it costs.
Anything else?
It
Yeah.
costs money.
Right.
What is the difference in savings to the department salary line with 3 people? The sergeant, or I'm sorry, the two people, the sergeant and the new officer. So the sergeant at top rate.
Right.
Now, your current officer
Becomes
Becomes a junior sergeant.
becomes the
so
junior.
step one
right,
sergeant.
Right,
I don't-
step one, moving from
Top step patrol.
top patrol. So the top patrol and the top sergeant is one,
Yeah,
is
that's
being
one
replaced with
Lower step
lower
person.
step
Lower
one
step, right,
sergeant
right.
and a new.
A new hire. is
So what, there's a
everybody
difference in
bumps up.
salary.
Right.
What's that cumulative
Well,
amount in dollars
Yeah,
for
I'd
the
have to
remainder
pull-
of the year?
I'd have to pull the contract.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 4 or 5, no, 5 steps?
5 steps.
There's 5 steps for every officer, and then,
And they're different
then there's the
percentages.
ranks have different steps
Right.
and grades in them. So, I mean, it's probably several dollars an hour
Right.
difference for the rest of the year, but there's also
Several dollars an hour.
an hour,
Yeah.
for the rest of the year.
Right,
The-
per individual?
Well, the
They're
difference
both
between.
entry level in a
difference.
sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Entry level sergeant,
You're
entry
talking
level
$10,
officer.
Exactly.
$15?
I'd have to look at
Yeah,
the rates.
It's,
And then it's
So,
also, it's
40
matter.
hours, 400?
But it doesn't, it's kind of more complicated than that,
Yeah.
because the entry-level police officer might have a higher ed percentage rate than
Yep.
the leaving
It
top
depends
of
who
the
the
start.
individual is.
So you
Yeah.
kind of have to, it's kind of, I mean, we could do the analysis.
I wanted to get a sense of the order and magnitude.
Well, I can.
I mean, we could do it, but like, I'm not
may or may not
sure
be
what
important to all the members of the
Haley's
committee.
education, but for all I know, she has a
Can he just
master's,
email
and
you
he
that
had not.
information?
Yeah, then that's fine.
Yeah,
You can
that's
email
fine.
me.
He's gonna email me.
Just so we can understand
It's
the order.
as simple as emailing you that particular sheet in the contract that lays out the
Yeah.
the salaries.
I was gonna ask you to send us a copy.
Yeah, of course.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Good. I don't have a copy.
It does have a base pay thing here attached for Dominic, so that might help you.
Yeah.
The sick leave buyback, to me, is a good thing, in that we don't want officers calling in sick
Right.
because they know they're not gonna get paid for it. And that keeps them on the job.
And that was.
And it always
negotiated.
bothers me when I hear about people taking sick leave when they're not sick. I mean, that's not ethical, but this gives them an option.
Well, we disciplined, over the years, we've disciplined for it.
Yeah. Well, I just wanna say that I think it's a good part of the bargaining agreement.
No, I agree.
Is there a max on that?
There is.
175 days.
Oh, really? So he's not been out at all sick much?
Very.
How does he get away with that? I get sick.
Well, they get 15 sick days a year to max out at 175. And if they only call out, so there's incentives too. If they only call out sick 5 times in a year,
Mhm.
the following year they'll get 5 sick leave bonus days, which are 5 basically
Really?
extra days off. So it encourages them not to call out sick.
So if you don't call in sick in a year.
Yeah, but do you want an
get 5
officer really
additional
sick?
days.
Yeah,
On
the
your-
following year.
Sure.
Yeah,
So that guy's really sick though, he shouldn't be coming in.
I agree.
Even though it might be worthwhile.
We sent them home too.
And over the period of, what,
Was it
office renewal has been.
30 years?
30 years,
35.
or 30, yeah, so, like, he probably lost some of those sick days over.
Oh, yeah.
Because he
Yeah,
maxed out at 175.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And that was negotiated down as well.
I like the fact that our officers like working here. I think we do a pretty good job with the healthcare, with everything,
Absolutely.
in this kind of country. All right. Anything else, Bill? Anything else, JP?
Just off the top of your head, are we really competitive in terms of those benefits with other
Yes.
communities?
Yeah. Nobody, and.
So we attract officers pretty good?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you have.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity, I like to boast about this particularly. Nobody ever leaves our department, and we have senior ranked police officers from other neighboring towns that want to come work here.
You might get a plug from Easthampton, but.
They beat down our door all the time. I said to Haley last week, I said that getting a job at the Easthampton Police Department is equivalent of getting the Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Can we quote you on, it's on the air.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be on
Is that
Facebook.
$1 billion prize? Wait a minute.
It is like hitting the lottery because it's an amazing group of people.
So if you get to be a special, you got a real good shot if
Oh,
you're in
really?
office.
Yeah, and we typically don't take laterals. Our program works really well the way that our hiring practices are. Although we would probably save some dollars in not sending somebody to the academy, more often than not, if you're taking a lateral, if somebody's leaving seniority, and seniority in a police department is a reason for it. So I was a special here. I
But
mean, it-
specials, they know the community.
Exactly.
They're in the community, they're starting, and it's not like we're bringing someone from another community. That's to learn the ropes.
And we work hard at recruiting folks that live in town too. The majority of my department currently lives in Payson, as we say.
Yeah, I was happy to hear that our chief is in town, whereas the South Hadley chief lives in our town.
And
As does the Northampton chief live in our town.
Who does?
The
And
Northampton police chief lives in town here too.
Okay, it must be a nice place to live.
I think so.
That's the rumor on the street.
Good question.
Until we get,
I just, the last thing is this normal procedure for free cash to be paying out all this?
We've done it
benefits?
several years in a row.
We did it
like
with
that.
Chief McMahon.
Okay, I just wanted to get up to speed because, you know.
I would rather they use free cash than reserve or stabilization if we.
No,
have
no, no,
it.
no, I'm looking more along the lines of the police's budget, you know, the one submitted would have, if he stayed on, his 6 weeks vacation within the budget. So now those 6 weeks that were budgeted for, in my eyes, are now being paid out of free cash, and that's more payroll dollars in a sense in the police budget.
Yes, but we're still paying their replacement's vacation time.
Correct. Which, do they get 6 weeks right off the bat?
No.
Okay.
They have to earn that.
It's really
Right.
just the overlap of time.
Right.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
gonna be.
because we're paying it out, and
It
then
would
we're
be
still
close
paying
with,
two people.
I kind of like the
Sergeant.
method of not budgeting for retirees, especially since they don't have to give you notice.
Well, it's hard to if you don't know.
Right, but then you budgeted for him, in a sense, not to be retired, so the money's there for him and his salary and everything else, and the vacation times would be worked
Percentage
into
of it,
it.
right.
I suppose you could advocate for one person to be retired from every, or come up with some average, and then work that into the budget if
You
that was
could, but-
something that we wanted to do.
I'm just looking at,
I would rather use the money for real expenses and not
Sure.
unknowns. Myself, I like that budgeting, so. I have no, do we
I
have
think this has
anything
worked
else?
all over time.
Yeah.
I don't see where it creates huge issues. but
Yeah,
certainly
a lot of
I would
these
come and entertain
buyouts are hard to
private
figure out
industry
until
might
they
do that.
actually retire.
I would also
That's
just,
the
big thing.
yeah, Chairman, I would also just worried about, like, what I think about this morning, and we brought in a professor from Suffolk University who is walking department heads through the budget and our forecasting models, and to start forecasting just where we are with the local, state, national economy, but also then looking back, but also then building our capital improvement plan. If we start bookmarking, and I understand, look, when I was like, wow, I get thrown for that. But to start bookmarking that money and trying to look at the forecasting and capital improvement and whatnot, it's nebulous.
well, I'm not saying bookmarking, you know,
Yeah,
predicting somebody's gonna retire or anything else. I'm just looking at what the budget was budgeted for and what,
Mhm.
you know, now we're taking money out of somewhere else to pay for something that was, in essence, already budgeted for. That's where my
and
thought
yeah,
process
no,
is.
I would
But for the
just,
fact I have to backfill between now and
Correct.
June.
Right.
And there's a percentage of money in there still.
That should be paid for patrolling on the streets.
Is there some way that you could give us, over the last 3 years, how much money has gone into retirement through the same approach that we're doing here, using free cash? just to come up with some figures, and maybe there's a number, maybe there's a figure
Yeah, I mean, I
like
could just research.
$75,000, you know, what's the average?
So, I mean, like, I know that sometime, like, I remember.
For all departments.
Like, we did,
The Chief McMahon.
Chief McMahon, and then we, in fire, some years it was budgeted for because people had announced very early that they were leaving, and there were like 2 or 3 leaving at once, so that was gonna be a big number, so they put that in. And then in the next year, they didn't, and then some of the people that had planned to retire did and then didn't. And sometimes it slipped, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna retire in fiscal 20, what about 21? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so they changed their mind.
And in the police
So you
department.
can figure out how many,
I
how
mean-
much money it was over the 3 years, maybe report back to us so we can say.
You want 3 years back?
Yeah, 3 years back, to give us
Sure.
an idea. Unless you think a 5-year or other perspective might be more appropriate than
No,
average.
I can,
Don't want to burden you with the effort.
I can just look at all the payouts, like I can see when, every time there was a sick time buyback kind of thing, or a vacation payout like that.
Yeah.
And then,
Why don't we go
back
back
into
5
the
years then?
votes.
If it's as simple as punching in a number for the computer, then we'll know, is it $200,000 on average a year, or is it
Oh,
50
no.
or 60,000 a year?
There's usually one or two people a
Yeah.
year.
So
And it may not always be
it'd
free cash.
interesting
It may have
information
been
to have.
budgeted
Right.
if you knew about it.
Well, then it wouldn't be a buyback.
No, it would come out of the budget. if that
It
was
would come out of the
case.
budget. So we're looking for the figures that came out as a buyback.
You mean the sick time,
The sick time and, yeah,
Well, all
and the
the,
compound.
now, our pay plan
buyback.
employees don't get any of this, do they?
So all of that flows through on the budget, like we hit the line for payouts in a certain way. So then you have to back that into the appropriation. Yeah, so like, I can do it, 5 years.
I can tell you for the police department that we haven't had one in 3 years when Chief McMahon was.
Just Chief McMahon.
Right, and before that, it was probably maybe another 2 or 3 years before him. And the anomaly with us is, I want to retire, I don't want to retire, I'm gonna go next year, I'm not gonna go. At the end of the day, if they're 64, I can budget it because they gotta go at 65.
Oh, is that really long?
Right.
I remember that.
That I could budget.
But it's really only public safety that has these big ones. We have some stuff in DPW where they have the sick time
Right.
policy. School department's a whole different animal.
We
Whole
know
different
this.
animal, and they
They do not budget, or they do?
They
do budget.
They budget for it. Yeah, and it comes out of, they have a, most of theirs, I believe, comes out of, choice in.
They save that money sort of like free cash for themselves in case that happened. My question was
They have
about.
different rules though, too, about what.
Yeah.
Right.
They have to give a year's notice, otherwise they're not eligible for it. It's.
Oh, that's good. The pay plan employees, we don't
Pay
do
plan.
much
He's
for
asking
them.
about pay
I'm
plan.
just curious
We
if our
just-
pay plan employees get any buyouts at all,
Well-
sick leave or
well, like,
vacation.
if I was to leave tomorrow,
Mhm.
I have 3 weeks vacation right now.
You get paid for that.
I'd get paid for my 3 weeks vacation. My
Sick
guess
leave?
is nobody, I get nothing for that. And
That's what I
then,
thought.
But typically what they do is they wait a month to replace me, so that.
So you can catch up with the vacation. That's what you're talking about, right?
But I'm not a position that has to be manned every single day.
Right.
I go on
and
vacation.
The incentive of sick leave buyback is to keep the people on the force in the.
Well, right, but if he has a person go out sick for 6 weeks, he has to fill that shift with overtime. If
Right.
I have a person go out for 6 weeks, I just cover their job responsibilities.
Okay, I like a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve. 38,370.44.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
3-0. It's good to have a 3 there. This is up for public hearing this Wednesday. All right, Bob, so you know,
Yes,
in
thank you.
case you have some of the same questions from the other councils. That's all we have on the agenda. So both of these items, JP, if I'm not there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Three.
Cola just goes to.
Yeah, Bicola has
Oh,
2 items.
It's not done, right,
Was it
not,
what?
right, you forgot you voted for that?
We
I do.
voted last time.
Yeah, that's right.
Just so you know, when we, Bill, when we get the COLAs, you have to do a pay plan ordinance. We don't send that to ordinance committee, we always do it ourselves.
Okay.
Charter requires it to go to a committee,
I got you.
but the ordinance is based on the funding for the same plan, so we don't bother separating it, so we do both. Move to adjourn?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
We're
you.
not doing